Hello, listeners! We're continuing our one-shot adventure, Blood Pact Requiem. Now, as Ryan mentioned at the top of the first episode, this arc features a really dark side of the Warhammer universe and includes some content that some listeners might find disturbing, such as enslavement, torture, and body horror. With that in mind, please take care when deciding whether or not to listen to this episode. And if you decide to skip this arc, we've got 2 other weekly podcasts that you can check out in the meantime, Blood and Syrup and Dum-Dums and Dragons. And we'll be back with Valentine's Crew in a few weeks. For those of you continuing with us now, please enjoy the continuation of Blood Pact Requiem. Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Pryce, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is a special report on the repercussions of the events of Blood Pact Prison Break. Set in the Genesys Adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG, this report features Game Master Ryan LaPlante and players Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Borovic. While Flynch and Karl continued to be suspicious about Azraul's motives, they were all 3 sent down to a city on the planet Everworld to locate Thrauk's nemesis Sindrian of the Emperor's Children. Thrauk's plan is to destroy Sindrian, but in a city full of Rubricae, who will put down any violence. How can the Night Lord's servants possibly survive? Find out next, in this episode of the one-shot, Blood Pact Requiem.
Karl, you are gagged by the racks and hauled upstairs through the elevator to the 3rd floor, which your friends are not on. The door opens and reveals a surgical suite. There is a Rubricae standing in the corner, but instead of you being able to plead your case or say that this isn't happening, the homunculus just plays the Rubricae a video of the deal made outside the front door. The Rubricae nods, and you undergo terrible surgery. 2 hours pass. Flynch and Azraul, you wait. Azraul, you've got a good view to be able to see the whole city as things happen. Flynch, you're waiting as well. You're just kind of hanging out, hoping things will change. When a bell starts ringing and you hear an announcement that comes on through the facility. And the first version is in Drukhari, and you don't speak that. And the second version is in Infernal, and it makes your ears bleed, except for you, Flynch, because you got fake ears.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt you. And then there's a version that comes on and announces 2 things. They're going to do reveal of a fantastic new creation and do it at the same time as they reveal today's honored guest. And Azraul, you've seen a hover vehicle come in from the distance towards the facility. It's going to the front door, so you have to choose whether you stay to watch who gets out of this vehicle or if you go down to see the reveal with the honored VIP, the honored guest. What do you want to do, Azraul?
Yeah, I want to wait and see. I already know where the reveal will be. If I'm a little late, that's okay. That's how it should be.
Fabulous. So you stay where you are and look down. And what you see get out of the hover car is wrapped in purple and gold ceramite. You see one of the Emperor's children. They clearly have augmetic replacements for both legs and a left arm as they stand up within their armor getting out of the hover car, which has clearly been custom built to allow a Space Marine to get in and out. And they just nod their helmet sagely at the door and are permitted into the building. You would put money down that that's the honored guest. So you may be a minute late, but you now know that that is where it would appear that the Emperor's Child is going. The question is, do you want to set off your beacon now, or do you want to go talk to this person to confirm that this is, Sindrian and not just another random son of the Phoenician who is here at this event?
Yeah, I want to wait, go to where the honored guest will be, and because I need to assemble the crew, because we all need to be together, and this should all align and be totally fine. So I'm going to head to that level, looking for my friends.
Great. So you start shambling back down those stairs in classic Azraul style. Meanwhile, Flynch, you are in the central room. It is clearly the space around the throne is being cleared. Lights are being shifted, the crowd is growing in excitement, and the music is building in intensity and emotion. However, the singer is being cleared off the stage, and a massive curtain drops to allow a dramatic reveal. Then a large figure in purple ceramite enters the room through the elevator. You see one of the Emperor's children enter. It is purple, gold. They're augmetic 2 legs and the left arm, as I just said. The helmet is in place, crested with white feathers in that classic kind of, for lack of a better term, but like the Roman brush that they have, the Roman broom at the top of the head, comes in with a sweeping white cape over the back, and they come in, and immediately the crowd parts and allows them to come to the throne, and they step forwards. You can hear the weight of each step as they advance until they sit down on the throne and just kind of sprawl themselves out, looking like one of those annoying kind of coked up actors who's playing a very important kingly role in a Shakespearean production, and it seems like they have to sit like a spider instead of a person. That is how they sit. At which point there is a massive fanfare that shakes the walls of the room, and you see dust fall from above. And then spotlights hit the stage, and the curtain pulls back, revealing someone you can barely recognize as Karl. So, Karl, you have been changed by the homunculi. And they have made 3 significant changes to you. The first thing that you notice, Flynch, is that Karl is fucking huge. Karl has been turned into a swollen brute.
Oh, no.
So he is more steroids have been put into him than you could possibly imagine. He is a foot taller. He is ultra jacked with muscles upon muscles upon muscles, looking like almost one of those double muscled cows or dogs.
Yeah.
Just a grotesque amount. So, Karl, your brawn is increased by 1.
Okay.
For determining weapon damage and soak. But all your ability-based checks receive 2 setback. Gives you a bulk boy.
Ability-based checks. Okay.
Agility-based.
Agility, excuse me.
So if you're trying to dodge, you're going to be dog shit at that, but you're much stronger and tougher. Oh no, it's only 1 setback. Sorry, 1 setback for all agility-based checks. The second thing that you notice, Flynch, is that Karl is covered in bone blades that extend out from his own bones and stab through his body. He's still wearing pants, but he has been stripped of his shirt, so you can see the lines of the scars stretched over him. He looks like a bit of a jigsaw puzzle with all the scars from before stretched out. And he has these bone blades piercing his body. So they sprout painfully, to make a note, Karl. This isn't fun. This is all terrible. But you do gain a melee light attack, which deals your brawn plus 4 damage with a crit rating of 2.
God.
Anytime you use that weapon, though, no, that's stupid. You're just going to have that because I like that better than the stupid rule they're using. So you can attack people with your bone blades at any point. You're armed at all times.
Okay, and the crit damage. The crit is 2, but what's the damage?
The damage will be your brawn plus 4.
Okay,
that's your base damage, whatever that is.
Okay.
And then the third thing is when you look at Karl's massive body covered in blades, you can also see wriggling under his flesh. Countless things. It seems like there are things swimming in his blood near the surface of his body that are crawling around under his torn skin. You have corrupted flesh, Karl. When your flesh is torn asunder, horrific insects and worms spill forth, which means
along with acid.
Along with acid. Okay. See, this is the challenge. The homunculi basically hunted down, and you would know this, Karl, from hearing them talk. They chose a parasite that lives in acid.
Okay.
And inserted it into your body. So
God.
it can horrify anybody. You can also, whenever you suffer a critical injury because you've got this parasite, you can change the result to any other result. So for you, your critical injuries will always be mild because the creatures are rebuilding your body to keep their like acid blood pool going. So I'll just, rather than rolling and being like, oh, it's really high, the creatures alter it. So people got to kill you. They can't just cripple you. But for you, you have countless creatures swimming under your torn flesh. Your body is grotesquely swollen, and you're covered in spikes.
Did I get to keep the grotesque?
No. Grotesque is gone. It doesn't fit your massive misshapen head anymore. Your augmetic eyes are still in place. They worked around those, and you don't have a face.
Man, that is a shame.
The creatures that swim through the rest of your body can occasionally be seen poking out the edge of your face and like looking at the environment and then going and swimming back in.
Right, yeah, like a dolphin coming up for air.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the crowd all turns to the honored guest VIP, and now I have to see if he likes the work that was done. Just a second.
Oh my god.
Move that a boost because it's gross. Another boost. All right, let's see. And he raises his gauntlets and claps them together 3 times, each sound almost like a gunshot, and then just waves a hand towards you, unimpressed after that. And the crowd's like, ah, and then just like a party breaks out and everybody starts going fucking crazy. And Karl, you were just released into the crowd. They did their changes. You did not impress the host terribly much, but you weren't terrible. You're released into the crowd as this massive hulking brute. At which point, Azraul, you step into the room. Can you roll me a perception at difficulty 3? Sure. And then I'm going to add a setback because Karl does not look like Karl, and a setback because this room is fucking bumping.
All right. Let's I guess just roll it how it is. We're just gonna see. I got 2 threats. That's like the target with the line. Threats.
I believe.
Because X is a failure, right?
Yes, X is failure, the other's threat.
Yeah, 2 threats.
So, 2 threats. You recognize Flynch. You do not recognize Karl. You just think he is not in this room currently because you just see a collection of racks and he blends in pretty well with them.
Great. Gonna
Flynch,
just saunter over to Flynch then.
Yeah, there we go. You two have found each other in this crazy nightclub where everyone is dancing performatively, clearly trying to entertain this Emperor's Children Marine sitting on the throne. People are slashing their own skin. People are like it's absolute destructive debauchery to just try to gain a single glance from this Marine. You notice none of the Drukhari are taking part in this part of the celebration. They are just hosts for this, supervising from the edges.
Wow. Flynch turns to Azraul and just says, "Too bad about him, I guess," pointing at Karl. But is that the guy? Is that him?
Who him?
Our target.
Wait, yeah, that certainly isn't a children of the Emperor. And who is your new friend? Looking up at
Karl, you arrive.
Okay. Karl arrives. Does this kind of transformation affect me in my ability to communicate at all? Like, I don't know the nature of these kinds of changes.
You still have a larynx. They didn't take that out. Okay. You still have lungs, but they are bigger. It would have changed your trachea and stuff. So, like, you might sound different. You might not. It depends on what the homunculus did. And they would have conversations with you about that kind of thing. So it'd be like, did you want changes to your voice? Some of the changes they're making on purpose, but technically they're only allowed 3 changes. They would have to check in about anything else.
I see. Okay. Then I would just want to ensure that I maintain like brain function. Like this didn't traumatize me to the point where
no change to your psychology with this. Tremendous pain, but you have been surviving this tremendous pain for months, and that's where your bloodlust comes from. So you've already kind of paid the price to survive this. Again, they put everything back really fast. You're used to being strung up and crucified for like weeks and having this stuff happen to you.
Yeah, okay.
You were tremendously disappointing for them. Not nearly enough screaming.
Sure, yeah. Sorry. Then, if I'm here, I just put out a big, meaty, bone-spiked hand and say, the warp beacon. I have made trade to gain audience with the real Sindrian.
Oh, that's not him?
The warp beacon. Just hand out, just opening and closing expectantly.
Okay. And Flynch just opens the bag, hands it over.
I'm heading to the bar.
The bartender has already appeared out of the shadows to be like, I'm so excited to make this deal. This is going to be great for all of us. You guys are going to love Sindrian. Please don't say anything. He'll kill us all. And the bartender just with his forearms takes the beacon and then has a goblet held in the other two, a big golden chalice that is filled with hallucinogens so strong, even from where you're standing, you're like, oh my God, that would prove fatal. Like people are passing out if the smoke touches them on the walk up to the VIP throne. And the bartender just bends over and says, Lord Sindrian, I've brought this for you. And he hands over the drink. And then he holds out the warp beacon and says, and anything you can offer would be really great for this. And then they start haggling. It is the weirdest thing you have seen. Just a grating voice that comes from the body, but it's short, it's clipped, you can't actually make it out. It takes you a moment to realize that they're negotiated in a language that isn't English. It appears to be some other one. You're not sure, you can't identify it. But they are haggling back and forth. What are you doing while this is happening?
I wanted to, upon realizing that this is Karl, and also the conversations that Azraul has had with Karl, like after him being tortured and all that stuff, one of the things I can do with the augury is make the target not myself but another person, and then it gives them a vision and gives them 2 boost on their next check. So I think Azraul would want to give a vision to Karl, like this is the religious aftermath of what you have gone through, basically.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's roll the psyker check then. Absolutely.
All right.
I am going to upgrade the difficulty with the story point.
Okay. And then I'm
so you
going
have
to use
two
one,
red for that.
I'll use 1 story point also then.
Okie dokie.
Okay. So I think this is right. Just double checking. Willpower, divination. And okay. So it's a straight roll with nothing extra right now.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, let's see what happens. Oh, just 3 threat. That's all I managed to squeak out on this one.
3 threat.
Oh, wait, no. 3. Sorry, 3 advantages. It made it red because I didn't pass the roll. Like I didn't succeed, but it made it red. It's actually 3 advantage. Yeah.
3 advantages, but you don't successfully give him a vision.
Correct.
I think you reach out to try to give Karl a vision. Mm-hmm. But you find that the gods are not willing. You try to pass something along, and the energy won't just pass forward. But when you touch him, you can feel that the warp is still in him.
Yes.
You can feel that he still believes. You can feel that energy within you. And it will give you advantage on your next roll because you know you're on the right path. Mm-hmm. The gods are with him. The gods are with you. The gods want you to move forwards. You have such a sense that, like, you tried to help him, but in the end, you just increased your own confidence that you were, like, doing the right thing. Like, he needs to be troubled. You need to be sure.
Then Azraul will just push that button, the locator button that we're supposed to do. Because that's what you're supposed to do. Exactly what we were told. We saw him. There we go.
Karl, what are you doing?
Karl, I don't know if he perceives this or not, but Karl was going to ask for everyone's locator switches. He was going to give them to me. He wanted to be the one. He didn't want Thrauk being called in without giving Sindrian the heads up so that it would be more of an even fight, so that Thrauk would be even more distracted.
All right, so I would say you could ask for them now, and we'll just see how this plays out while the bartender is talking to Sindrian.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just a big, meaty, spiky hand comes out once again, opening and closing expectantly, and says, "The beacons. Give me your beacons."
Flynch, have you done anything before this, or are you just standing there? I just want to check in with you to make sure everybody had their immediate reaction time of their own.
No, Flynch is just observing. Again, this is all going to happen as it happens. Like,
great. So Karl has asked for the beacons. We'll jump back in there. You're just hearing the bartender and the child of the emperor talking in a language you don't know, but they're in front of you. You're a little bit further back.
Azraul pushed the button and then hands it kindly over to Karl. Here you are. It's already pushed, so there's an
Just
indication.
Frustration. He's going to probably die, but interrupt Sindrian.
How so?
And say, Lord Sindrian, Thrauk has been alerted to your presence here. He is coming.
And Sindrian's head just turns towards you, and you're stared down by the glowing eyes of his helm. And he just says, "Excellent." And the far wall of the bar explodes, and you hear a blend of screams that you have all heard before and know is the shriek of Thrauk in a way that disarms and disorients everyone around them. And for the first time, you've seen the whirlwind of Thrauk to begin with. Can you all roll me a daunting fear check? It is a fear check at difficulty 4. Discipline or cool.
My tempered will removes one setback from disorientation and fear checks, but there's no setbacks here, right? It's just straight difficulty.
For you, it's straight difficulty because we'll know that that's been removed. For Azraul, I will say 2 boost to this because you knew Thrauk had been summoned. And I will say Flynch and Karl, you both automatically get 2 boost. You're used to Thrauk and you've heard the scream before.
Yeah. And what kind of check, Ryan? Sorry?
This is either discipline or cool because you're going up against fear. I will say for Flynch, I will add 2 setback because you have bionic ears and you are just getting blasted by sound and his own like kind of dampener systems. Normally, I would say that your eyes would be flickering, Karl, because we know that Thrauk has some like EMP style tech, but you have the ability to work through that because that's coming off with your tempered will.
Okay.
Azraul, I don't think you have setback. I think you were prepped for this. You pressed the button. You're like, yeah, he's here.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to roll it.
I got 3 failures, 1 threat on a discipline.
I got discipline. I got 2 advantages, 1 failure.
I got cool, and the net outcome was 1 threat.
Okay. Fascinating. I think what happens is you are like Azraul, you are stepping towards Sindrian because you need to right this wrong. Sindrian is like being interrupted. This is clearly fucking with Thrauk's plan. And that's when you hear the scream, it just locks you in place. So you're right by Sindrian. Flynch, you hear the scream and it just staggers you. So you start to run, but you run forwards towards Sindrian instead of away because it's a packed room. Karl, you stay in the same place. What is happening to you is you are all experiencing what is called in 40K as transhuman dread, which is a space marine is so big and so dangerous and so impossible, and they move so impossibly fast that people can panic at the sight of them as they fly towards them. Thrauk is coming in shrieking. The lightning claws are crackling, and the jetpack is just blazing, having burst through the wall, ends up on top of Sindrian, and you see this, Flynch, and you see this, Azraul. Actually, can you roll me both a what is it called? Coordination. It's an agility, difficulty 2.
Alrighty.
Which is you both went forwards. Can you get back in time?
3 successes, 1 threat.
Sorry, I have to take setback because of my clunky armor. So just figuring it out. All right.
Azraul, the slow old man. He's all tired after his steps. I will give you 2 boosts because you have wings.
Oh, shit. I already rolled it.
If you're willing to use them. Oh,
I already rolled it, so
then you already rolled it. That was your instinct. You didn't use your wings.
I did 1 success, 2 threats.
Great. You both managed to just dodge out of the way of Thrauk. But what you see is Thrauk reach down and say, yes, finally. And he pulls off the helmet. However, when he pulls it off, the head underneath is a servitor's head. And it looks up at him with a Vox grill in its mouth, and it just says, gotcha! And from behind, you hear a second scream, and you see purple and gold as an Emperor's Children Marine with flowing white wings just soars in with a sword in hand and hammers into Thrauk, and they both go out through the far side of the building. And from the outside, you start to hear dueling, and you start to hear gunfire. And then someone starts shooting in the room. As you realize the Rubricae have been triggered, and you look over and the Rubricae's yellow eyes have gone red, and it is just opening the fuck up on this room. You are seeing people explode with bolter shots going through them left, right, and center. The assassination is underway, but you have some more immediate concerns. What do? You are on the second story of a building in the center of a market that the Rubricae are determined to fully exterminate.
Azraul's first instinct would be to grab Flynch and fly off of the second story and leave.
Okay. So are you flying back to the ship?
Yes.
Fuck yes. Okay.
Flynch will let that happen because if Flynch wanted to get the hell out of there anyways.
Azraul, can you roll me an athletics? Yes. Yeah, brawn and athletics. Flynch, you are part... Oh, man. Difficulty 3.
Difficulty 3?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a boost because Flynch is trying to help be carried. Mm-hmm. You get another boost because the warp is with you and this is meant to happen. Mm-hmm. I am going to give you a setback because Flynch is heavily augmetic.
Yep. And I think I need to take 2 more setbacks because of my heavy chains.
Because of your armor. Yep, that makes sense.
All right. I'm going to use a story point.
Okie dokie.
And then also, I still had my 2 boost from the vision I had. I don't know if I can still use that. I didn't use it the last roll. But...
Oh, yeah, I factored one of them in as for the vision, so factor another. Yeah, you're good to do that.
I'll take the other one, and then I'll mark that as used. All right. So you said it was 3 purple.
3 purple, yeah. I'm going to spend a story point to upgrade one of those to red, because you are jumping out a window with a person.
All right. This is a spicy roll. All right. Ready? Let's see what happens. 3 successes.
3 successes. You grab Flynch. You are flying out over the city or I think it's Tent City. As you look down and just see a fucking massacre. Merchants are like trying to go for their guns to get them up. And the Rubricae are just firing. It's just single bolt into a head, single bolt into a head. People are popping left and right, but it is starting to become a war zone as all of the arms dealers are realizing, oh shit, if we don't use these, we're fucking dead. But you're in the sky, and the Rubricae are just killing whoever is closest. There's not really a tactical plan to what they're doing. With one more check, you will make it back to the ship in time to be able to drop Flynch off. However, Karl, both of your friends just flew away and left you in a nightclub where everyone is being shot to death. And in a shocking twist for you, Azraul saved Flynch. Which I don't think was on your possibility list.
That's true.
What are you doing, Karl?
That hole in the wall is looking mighty enticing to just jump out of. But this sort of like Doombot-esque decoy for Sindrian, is there any useful armaments or armor that this decoy had on him? Or was it largely relaxing kind of loungewear in this club?
Okay, this is the rare version of the fucked up shit that just happened to you made shit useful that would not be useful otherwise.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping.
The armor, no. You can't get it off of this robot and put it back on. That's not going to work. But what you do have is a Space Marine scale bolter. that would be way too big and heavy and would involve way too much recoil for any normal person to be able to pick up. There are bolters in this universe that, like, we've had inquisitorial agencies and stuff like that. Those are scaled down for people, because a bolter for a Marine would be like trying to pick up the minigun that only Arnold Schwarzenegger could carry in Terminator. So it is a gun that is scaled way too fucking high for anyone in this room to pick up, except you, because they just made you really big. So if you want, you can take the bolter off of this thing.
I would like to grab the bolter and then run out of the hole in the wall that Thrauk made.
Great. Can you roll me in athletics? Because you have to jump to the floor.
Yeah. Athletics.
Del, do you have that pool save that you rolled?
Oh, crap. I don't think I do. Hold on. Let's see if I can get... Oh, I do. Yes.
Perfect. Hang on to that.
What's the
Athletics,
difficulty there?
Difficulty 3.
Okay.
And remember, this has been affected by your increased bronze, so just make sure you're doing that in your brain.
I have that factored as well.
Perfect.
Yeah. What's the story point situation?
Story points, you guys have 3, I have 2.
I'm going to spend 1 because this is the clutch moment where Thrauk is otherwise occupied. Now is my time to kill the heretic. Kill the traitor. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll add one of those. We'll get rid of one of those. Okay. 3 successes, 2 advantage.
3 successes. You hit the fucking ground in like a superhero pose, and it turns out your new fucking body can take it. Hurts like hell, but you're able to do that. You can see in the distance, Thrauk and Sindrian are both fully engaged in a duel at a pace that they are running through buildings. They are running through tents. They are killing Rubricae out of hand that are closing in on the two of them. You can also see the Tenebrous Claw at the very edge of the tent city, but you do have to fight your way there if you're trying to go for it. And you can see Rubricae engaged in open gun battles through the streets. However, you escaped the Rubricae upstairs, and the Rubricae inside the building are currently fighting the entire cabal of the Venom Rage. So what do?
I just have to get to the ship. So I think it's like Hulk-like, these running jumps, kind of just trying to cover as much distance as possible. If I meet resistance, then it's either melee for regular schmoes or the bolter for these Rubricae nasty guys.
Okay, can you roll me? Do you have a D6 on you?
Somewhere.
Great, roll me a D6.
That's a 3.
That's a 3. Okay. You are facing off. As you're dashing through, you think you might be able to avoid their attention, but you do end up running smack dab into a Rubricae in the middle of one of the areas. However, it is shooting someone else before it turns to fire on you, so you get to open up first with your bolter. This will be, because you're fucking huge, ranged light.
Okay, ranged light is agility, so I have a disadvantage setback die for that.
For what, sorry?
It's a ranged light.
Yes.
Is an agility-based roll, so I have a setback die for using the gun.
I'm going to argue you don't, because this weapon is scaled to you.
Okay.
If you were trying to shoot if you were trying to use that little tiny las gun, I think you'd have a fucking hell of a time.
Okay, right.
This is a Marine scale bolter, so that plays to your strengths.
Okay.
The question I have for you is: are you running towards this Rubricae to try to kill it, or are you still trying to run past it? Because that'll affect the difficulty of this check. It's not a huge difference, but it'll be like a 1 die difference.
If it's become clear to me that it's going to be a problem, I will try to take it out before it can get worse for me. So catch it unawares as it's attacking something. So divert slightly to deal with it, and then hopefully back to the ship.
And then keep booking past.
Yeah.
Okay, then you are going to get close, which means you will be in engaged range, which will be with the gun. I mean, not engaged. This is the annoying thing. You're going to be the easiest shot because you're running towards it instead of trying to like circle around or whatever, which is also the fastest path, so it makes sense. It would normally be 2 difficulty, but because this is a Space Marine, it auto adds 2. So this will be difficulty 4 for you to take your shot at. It is distracted, so it's a boost. You've got your incidental and you have the drop on it, so I think that'll give you a free aim, which will give you another boost, especially if you're booking it towards it. You will have setback of It's not. See, I don't think you will have the same setback. I'm adding the armor into the difficulty instead of the setback. I'm going to give you none. The Rubricae is not dodging. It's not like they're running through in their full Marines in combat. They are walking gun platforms that are very accurate, but it's not going anywhere.
Got it.
I will use a story point to upgrade your difficulty.
I will also use a story point. Again, it's the same thing of this is my chance. I cannot blow it now kind of mentality. So just tapping into every ounce of willpower and faith I have to see this done.
Great.
Because there's nothing else after this as far as my trial or test is concerned.
Yep.
One success, 2 advantage.
Nice. Okie dokie. That is with the damage. You're firing the upgraded bolter. You punch a number of holes into the armor of this Rubricae as you are firing, and out of them starts to fall dust. And you see the lights behind its eyes start to flicker as it turns towards you. It's not down, but you see it is moving so much slower. It's clearly been injured. Do you keep running past, or do you want to stay to try to finish it?
Yeah, let's leave nothing to chance here. I'm going to try to coup de grace it, just finish it off.
Great. I'm going to say that it and you will be firing at exactly the same time with your second round. So it's turned towards you, and you're still firing as you run at it. So you both raise your weapons as you... Do you yell something? Does Karl have words for this Rubricae as he's shooting?
No words for the Rubricae. Words for the traitor, but none for the Rubricae.
Excellent. You both raise your bolters towards each other and open fire, and we cut 2 people in the sky before we find out what happens with this shot. So,
Yep.
Azraul, you are flying, carrying Flynch towards the Tenebrous Claw. Mm-hmm. Let's do that same roll again, but you're 2 boost down.
Okay. Ooh, it's going to be tough. All right, and this roll also includes story points from me and you. So it's
great.
It'll just equal out again.
Yep, that makes sense to me.
Here we go. 3 advantages, 1 triumph.
Yes.
I'm sad.
Yes.
Good job, I'm sad.
The gods have spoken.
You don't get shot at by anything. The sky is a safe place for you to fly out to the Tenebrous Claw and land. What do you want to do after there? Are you going back to get Karl? Are you staying with Flynch? What's Azraul's plan here?
Azraul's plan is just to sit at the edge of the ship and wait, because we did everything that was meant to have done. Now we wait for the return of our friends. Just stand and looking out and watching all the chaos that is like silhouetted by all of the different worlds just flickering in and out of just like, yes, we did a good job.
Flynch. Because this was a triumph on Azraul's part, you know this happening doesn't make sense if Azraul is working for Thrauk.
Yeah.
Because you're useful, but Thrauk's obsessed with fucking, like, Karl. That's Thrauk's torture obsession. Mm-hmm. Also, Azraul does what the gods say should be done, and Azraul saved you, not Karl. So maybe the gods wanted to save you. Could the gods be on your side?
The gods could be on my side.
That triumph it's just in your head. I'm not saying that it's a decision. I just want we had that rule before that was like you're leaving less. This is a bit more of question marky. But Azraul fucking saved you, so Azraul is not the enemy at this point. I think might be the triumph of it.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a very, very elaborate long con if that doesn't really seem to be Thrauk's thing. Like, he's more of a, like, I want this thing and going to get it.
Yeah. Is there anything you would say to Azraul just having been flown out of a war zone to safety?
So we're going back to a sanguinary world? Yep.
It is all in the hands of the gods beyond us. Yes.
Yes?
The ruinous powers know all.
What are the ruinous power? Wait, what do they know? What do they know?
Azraul turns slowly to Flynch. So very many things.
And a bullet pings off the exterior of the ship next to you, and you realize this may be a better conversation to have inside than outside. Yeah. So you both climb into the ship. Meanwhile, back in the battle zone, Karl, you've got the same die pool that we did before. If you've still got it pulled up, you may not, and that's fine too. But if you do, roll it again, baby.
All right. 1 triumph, 1 threat, 1 failure. That's the net outcome. A little from column B, a little from column A.
This is the wildest fucking roll. Because I also have 1 triumph, 1 failure, 3 threat.
What?
Oh.
So you both turn your guns on each other and just fucking open the fuck up. The Rubricae ends up being cut in half, and the recoil means you cut it in half and then rise up and punch around through its helmet, and it goes down. The Rubricae itself fires a burst through your torso to the side and severing your left arm. And it seems terrible to you, and you stagger and fall to your knees. And then you just feel this urge where you reach down and take your arm and press it against your body, and you feel the things wriggle inside you in agony. And you feel it pull back together, and joints and sinews stretch and snap. But then a moment later, you're just winded, and your arm is back on as the parasites rebuild your grotesque arm, and you stand back up and can continue to book it towards the ship. Because everybody failed, but the triumph means you both got crits, and you have the ability to avoid the deadly crits.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. If I can, I am running towards the ship once again.
Yes. You will be taking the gunfire that you were hit with would be 10 damage with Pierce 3. So 3 of it, like you're soaked to -3. You are wearing your equivalent of your flat coat through your creepy hide, even though you're not wearing the coat part, and then your increased soak, whatever that is.
I don't know what the flak provides me.
That would be... No, that doesn't affect damage. Oh, it gives you +1 soak. It's +1 soak,
yeah.
we'll just say.
Okay, so we'll make that. Okay, and that was 10 damage. Yep. Pierce 3?
10 damage minus whatever your soak is, +3.
Okay, and I already had damage from before.
That was a long time ago, so don't worry about that. You're at full health for this one. Thrauk wasn't going to torture you and then send you on a mission-critical Thrauk mission. That would be very stupid.
Okay. So 10 -6, but then +3. 7 damage?
7. Yep, 7 damage.
Okay, 7 wounds. Okay.
And you book it through the rest of town. Can you roll me a d6?
A 4 this time.
And I was going to add +1, so that becomes a 5. So you actually make it the rest of the way out of town without facing anybody. So no more damage. You've gunned down a Rubricae, and you made it through the crowds, avoiding getting in any more conflicts as the city is raised behind you.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to sprint towards the ship. You know the traitor is inside. You know this is all what's going to happen. When you feel a giant hand grab you by the back and lift you off the ground, and you realize you are now spiraling through the air, held by Thrauk, who flies you inside the tenebrous claw, and the door starts to close behind him. Only instead of landing cleanly, Thrauk flies forward, loses control, dropping you, and hammers into the back wall before his jetpack's cut out, and he slides to the floor. The 3 of you are looking down at him, and you realize he is severely fucked up. There is a giant rent in the chest plate of his armor where a sword has stabbed through. and another rent below it where the sword has stabbed up and through. You can see he's bleeding profusely. His helm is cracked, and he reaches up and pulls it off with one hand and says, "There's a fucking ambush. I'm going to die today unless something very exciting happens. So I'm requiring you all to get creative." And he just reaches up and grabs Karl by the throat and just says, "Whatever you need to do, you do it, because I don't have a heart. I lost both." And he coughs blood into Karl's face, which sizzles and burns Karl because it's acid blood. Right. However, you're immune to it, so it eventually just, it's acid sizzling on whatever residue of the environment
skull.
is there. Yeah. Azraul. Can you feel the energy of the gods suddenly flowing through you? If you reach out, you know you can either pass a message through yourself or a message through a vessel. Do you want to try to send this message through Thrauk or pass it through with you as the divine messenger?
Oh, man. I think it's probably pass through me, but I want to be right in Thrauk's face. Whatever is coming through.
Great. Can you roll me a psyker check?
Sure.
Difficulty, the same standard difficulty, 1 red, 1 purple. You have 2 boost because the gods themselves are powering things through you.
Okay.
And a 3rd boost because you're trying to punch it up. So
right.
It's destined to happen, and you've chosen yourself as the vessel.
Yep. All right. I got it all set here. Yep. I'm going to roll it. 3 successes, 3 advantages.
Perfect. So Thrauk is still holding Karl by the throat, and he just says, "I got his hearts too. At least everyone dies today if you're not clever." At which point, fog begins to pour forth from your mouth, Azraul. And your eyes begin to glow white, and the temperature in the room drops 20 degrees to the point where frost is forming on the edges of it. And even breathing in and out, you can see the rest of you, the frost in the air. And Azraul, the clanking of chains can be heard around you as you rise into the air and your wings spread wide, and wind begins to howl through the room even though all the doors are closed, and it is impossible for that to be happening. And a booming voice comes out of Azraul's mouth and just says, "The demon's heart is at the core of the world. 2 champions have risen. 1 will survive. Claim the heart for your master, or doom him to hell and die at the hands of his rivals. Thus speak the gods." And the winds begin to die down, and Azraul, you hover back down to earth. And deep in your heart and in your mind, you understand all the intricacies of the simplicity of that message. Both Thrauk and Sindrian in their duel managed to destroy the other Marine's primary heart and secondary heart. Normally, that would mean an instantaneous death, but because they've been so baked in the warp, their systems are still functioning, but they are on the way out. However, Sindrian has a crew on Sindrian's ship on this world, and there is a crew on your ship for Thrauk, the Tenebrous Claw. You now know that at the top of a ziggurat, somewhere on Everworld, there is the heart of a demon that is beating on an altar. Whichever crew can get to that heart first can bring it back and save their champion, and then slaughter the other crew and be free. But it's up to the crews to do it. And it's the only way to save Thrauk. And you now have, with this crew, the ultimate bargaining chip to get a promise from a Chaos Space Marine who never breaks his promises. I hand this over to you as you land on the earth with all 3 of the others staring at you, having just bellowed this through the warp winds.
Azraul just settles back down and, "As it is spoken, thus we shall do."
I Karl has a bolter in his hot little hands, and and Thrauk is on death's door. I don't know if this seems like the perfect scenario for him to just kill Thrauk, kill Flynch, and just let what happens.
Do you want to go for it?
The gods spoke through Azraul, and Azraul lands and says, "As it is spoken, so it will be done." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I do like a cool or something to just detect if there's like wisdom and authenticity in those words, or if I am still being tested?
Yeah, no. Let's do that.
To be
That's
distracted. Great. Okay.
Or do you want us to roll to see if Azraul can convince you? Is that an easier one? Or like, because it doesn't matter to me. It's just how we want to structure the dice pool. Genesys is tricky and inter-party stuff.
I think that would be better, because I also don't want to make it all about me just being like, well, I'm going to decide if we do that or not.
We're fine with that. It's not Tyler deciding. It's Karl. But yeah, let's see if Azraul, if you can convince him, because it's a good thing to kind of see where things are sitting. So for you, do you have charm or coercion? Did any of those exist in your wheelhouse?
I do have charm.
Oh, then this is... we will say charm, because I feel like you've been charming Karl over a long period of time to sway over to your side of things. Karl, what is your intellect?
2.
All right, your difficulty will be 2, because I think it's Karl's faith says, I will listen to Azraul. Karl's mind says, I might be able to solve this. What if we cut the Gordian knot is what his logic is saying.
Yeah.
And we can see how that pays off. I'm going to spend a story point to make things more difficult for you. Okay. So I'm enhancing one of Karl's to a red.
Then I would also spend a story point, because, man, this is what we're supposed to be doing, Karl.
Let's do that up.
Say so.
I will give you a bonus because you have spent time trying to comfort Karl.
Yep.
I will give you a bonus because you know that this is true, and you know that this is the way to ultimately be able to kind of get a hold on Thrauk for the ruinous powers. I will give you a setback because Thrauk has been actively fucking up Karl's ability to trust you.
Yeah.
Flynch, is there any way you would be contributing to this? What is your reaction here?
Flynch kind of had given up, but Azraul has kind of caused her to question question the role of the gods. So she'd kind of like to get back home and figure shit out.
Mm-hmm.
So she's gonna try to strike the bargain with Thrauk.
Ooh, that's fun. Okay, so you're on board with Azraul. Yeah, let's add 2 more boosts to your side of the roll there, Azraul.
All right. Are we ready? 2 successes, 1 threat.
Karl, you see Azraul speak, and you realize this prophecy has come from the warp and from the gods. But it was not in the voice of Azraul. Azraul wasn't trying to tell you this. Azraul was in a room with you and Thrauk, all about to possibly get murdered by a space marine, when the gods took over and interceded. That checks out as a message, perhaps only to you.
Okay.
However, that doesn't mean your mission is not to kill Flynch. It may mean it's to do A and B.
Oh, sure, yeah. A traitor's a traitor's a traitor.
Yes. And you are big enough that you could take this heart and maybe do something else with it.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of how champions rise, and it's not always like, and then you do the thing everybody wanted. And it's like, sometimes it's like, no, Karl, like you could go and eat that heart if you wanted to, and that may be the challenge that gets you even bigger and better. Because the one thing we can say today, Karl, this is that kind of all these the random thread on top of the success is, yeah, you want to go for this demon's heart, but you've got a lot of options. And the one thing the gods have done in a very unpredictable way is make you very big and very strong and very dangerous.
The gods have equipped me to properly face my trial and perhaps be rewarded gloriously if I succeed. So the finger comes away from the trigger on the bolt gun. And Karl will place a big hand on Thrauk's wrist and will try to somewhat authoritatively pull it away and rise. And
all right, roll me a
turn
brawn.
to Azraul. Yeah.
You got to roll me a brawn on this one. That's going to be our. we got to know. We got to know. I got to look up the stat.
How strong?
Difficulty will be 6. 5 because he's injured.
Okay. And it's athletics or just straight brawn?
This will be athletics.
Okay.
2 of those will be red.
It's 50-50. It's 3 purple, 3 green, 2 red, 2 yellow. So we've been at odds for a while here, he and I. So let's just roll it. Unless you want to add anything else.
No, I'm good. Let's just
I
roll.
I don't want to add anything else on my side. 1 success, but 2 threats.
You struggle against his arm, and you can't tell whether you force his arm aside or he let you go. Mm-hmm. But when you look down, you see that his lightning claws were in line to cut you in half at the torso if you'd move towards the bolter. And you realize that, he may be injured, but he can definitely still fuck around. And if you had gone at him here, he would have killed all 3 in the room and then probably died. Because his ability to be like, I'm going to be a murder machine for 20 seconds is still definitely Space Marine capable in his current level of condition.
Sure, okay.
But you did move the hand aside, and you can't tell if he gave up or not. And he's clever enough that he'd never let you know if you had the upper hand. So he's definitely hurting, and you are definitely strong now.
Okay. Karl will turn to Azraul and say, or no, he'll look down to Thrauk and say, we need to fly the ship. We need to find this heart. You are the only one who has piloted this ship so far. Can you pilot it again, or can one of us be taught?
I can do the flying. It's what I was meant to do. You will all need to choose new and appropriate weapons. And he stands, and it's shocking. You can see through his torso in 2 different points, and he's still standing and walking away. But he hauls open one of the gene coder systems that you had not been aware were hidden throughout the ship. And he leans over and just spits blood onto it. And you see a bunch of locks that you had been trying to solve for months, Flynch, in the code, just unlock. And you hear a clank behind you as he turns and Thrauk moves to the bridge of the ship. And you all turn back to a room that you had never been able to open. And as the doors spread wide, you realize you were looking at the armory of the Tenebrous Claw. And you are going to be arming yourselves before you set foot onto Everworld to claim a demon heart or to die in the process.
This episode of the one-shot Blood Pact Requiem features Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at ELHamstring on Twitter, Del Borovic at Deltastic on Twitter, and our Game Master Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the one-shot's logo was created by Decapitated Markers. This show's theme music is Gothic Trip with Thunderhorse by Damiano Baldoni, and our ads use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, Jahzzar, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. our Twitter and Instagram at DumDumDice, and our Facebook at facebook.com/DumDumDice. We have merchandise available at redbubble.com/people/DumDumDice. And most importantly, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/DumDumDice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. The Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Spot Allen, Flynn 1138, Alarain Okapi, OMG, it's Big Nick, D&D and Things, Norma Byers, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Flea Unit, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Melissa Rain, Nithrian, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.